Hello everyone, you are on the channel. It's Funny to Tears. Today, we're diving into the world of video calls, a place where professionalism meets pure, unfiltered chaos. We've all been there, right? Sitting in a Zoom meeting, trying to look engaged, when suddenly the unexpected happens. That's what we're talking about today. The most hilarious, cringe-worthy, and downright unforgettable Zoom call moments that have graced the internet. From pets making surprise appearances to technical difficulties that defy all logic, these stories will have you nodding in solidarity and laughing until you cry. So grab your popcorn, mute your own mic just in case, and let's get ready to explore the wild side of working from home. Our first story comes from a user named Mark, who works in marketing. His team was in a super serious quarterly review with the big bosses. We're talking suits, ties, and very important looking charts. Mark was presenting his team's achievements, feeling confident and on a roll. He had his professional background set up, his notes were perfect, and he was nailing it. Suddenly, his 5-year-old daughter, Lily, burst into the room wearing a full-blown princess costume, complete with a tiara and a magic wand. She marches right up to the camera, looks dead into it, and announces in the loudest voice possible, "Daddy, I need to go potty." The entire call went silent for what felt like an eternity. Then the CEO, a usually stern-looking man, just burst out laughing. He said, "Well, Mark, it seems you have a more pressing engagement. Let's take a 5-minute break." Mark said he'd never been so embarrassed and relieved at the same time. The ice was definitely broken, and potty break became the new office code word for needing a timeout. Next up, we have a classic case of the unaware hot mic. This one is from Sarah, a graphic designer. She was in a long, drawn-out brainstorming session that had been going on for hours. She thought she had muted her microphone to complain to her roommate about how boring the meeting was. She leaned back in her chair and whispered, "If I have to hear the word synergy one more time, I'm going to start singing opera." The problem was she hadn't muted her mic. She had just turned her own speaker volume down. Her boss stopped mid-sentence and said, "Sarah, did you have something to add?" Sarah froze, her face turning every shade of red imaginable. Thinking on her feet, she just cleared her throat and in a very quiet voice sang a single high-pitched opera note. Everyone was completely confused, but her boss just blinked and said, "Okay then, moving on." She said the rest of the meeting was agonizing, but at least no one said the word synergy again. Let's talk about camera filters. They're fun for social media, but they can be a nightmare in a professional setting. This happened to a high school teacher named David. He was about to start his virtual history class when he realized his daughter had been using his laptop earlier. He clicked "Start video," and instead of his face, the entire class was greeted by a floating, talking potato with googly eyes. He frantically tried to turn it off, clicking every button he could find, but the potato filter was stuck. For a solid 10 minutes, Mr. David, the potato, tried to explain the causes of the American Revolution. The students were losing their minds, screenshotting and sending memes in the group chat. He finally had to restart his entire computer to get rid of it. The next day, his students had all changed their profile pictures to potatoes. He said it was the most engaged they'd been all year. Now for a pet-related disaster. Meet Jessica and her cat, Mittens. Jessica was in a job interview for her dream position. It was the final round and she was talking to the head of the department. Everything was going smoothly. She was answering questions perfectly, feeling confident and poised. Then Mittens, a very large and fluffy Persian cat, decided it was the perfect time to make his grand entrance. He leapt from a bookshelf directly onto Jessica's head, claws slightly out for balance. Jessica let out a yelp, and the screen just showed a flurry of cat fur and flailing arms. The interviewer just stared, wide-eyed, as Jessica wrestled the cat off her head, her hair now sticking up in every direction. She tried to apologize, but she was laughing so hard she could barely speak. The interviewer started laughing too and said, "Well, you definitely know how to handle a crisis, and your cat seems to have a strong personality." Against all odds, Jessica got the job. She's convinced Mittens was her good luck charm. This next one involves a case of mistaken identity, or rather mistaken background. A guy named Tom was on a call with a new, very important client. He wanted to look professional, so he used a virtual background of a sleek, modern office. The problem was he forgot he was wearing a green shirt. For those who don't know, green screens work by replacing the color green. So when Tom turned on his camera, all the client could see was his floating head and hands in the middle of a stock photo office. His entire torso was invisible, replaced by a picture of a potted plant and a window. He spoke for a full 5 minutes, completely unaware, while his head bobbed around like a disembodied ghost. Finally, the client, trying to stifle his laughter, gently interrupted him. "Tom," he said, "I love your enthusiasm, but I think your shirt is trying to blend in with the furniture." Tom looked down, saw his invisible body, and just face-palmed. They had a good laugh about it. And it actually made the client feel more comfortable. Sometimes a little bit of human error is the best icebreaker. Let's not forget the simple, yet devastating, forgot to turn the camera off moment. This story is from a college student named Chloe. She had just finished a 3-hour online lecture and thought the call had ended. Exhausted, she stood up, stretched dramatically, and then proceeded to do a very silly, very elaborate victory dance around her room because the class was finally over. We're talking full-on arm waving, hip shaking, and lip syncing into a hairbrush. She danced for a solid minute before she glanced at her screen and saw it, a grid of 30 faces, including her professors, all staring back at her in stunned silence. The call hadn't ended, the professor was just taking questions. Chloe said she just slowly sank out of the camera's view and shut her laptop, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. She didn't turn her camera on for the rest of the semester, but her professor did give her an A on her final project with a little note that said, "Great work and great moves." Our final story is a tale of technical failure and quick thinking. An IT manager named Brian was leading a crucial training session for the entire company on a new software system. He was sharing his screen, walking everyone through the steps, when his internet completely died. Poof, he was gone. The screen went blank and 200 employees were left sitting in a silent Zoom room. Panic set in. But then one of his team members, a junior developer named Maria, took charge. She didn't have the presentation slides, but she had been paying attention. She unmuted her mic and said, "Okay everyone, looks like we lost Brian. Don't worry, I can take it from here." Using only her words, she guided the entire company through the rest of the software setup from memory. It was incredible. When Brian's internet finally came back on 20 minutes later, he logged in to find Maria wrapping up the training to a round of virtual applause in the chat. Not only was the disaster averted, but Maria became a company legend overnight. It just goes to show that even when technology fails, human ingenuity and teamwork can save the day. And there you have it. A glimpse into the hilarious, unpredictable, and surprisingly human world of video calls. From potty training princesses to dancing students and invisible torsos, these moments remind us that behind every screen is a real person with a real and often messy life. It's these moments of chaos that connect us and give us stories to tell. What are some of your funniest video call moments? Share them in the comments below. We'd love to read them. Thanks for hanging out with us on It's Funny to Tears. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more hilarious content. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.